Hey, Player Development Pod family. I am with Terrolyn Nunn in person. Finally got to meet her. She's here in KC, as you see. We are currently where we will hold the 2025 Player Development Summit, but you have been connected to the summit when it was a conference since 2023 because you are a founding sponsor.
Yes.
Two-time platinum sponsor, now a founding sponsor of what we've been able to do. I can't thank you enough. A lot of you all who are watching this have been to the conference or coming to the summit. You all, we're going to talk about just how important you have been to what we're doing here with Beyond the Field. And our biggest thing we put on an event, which is about to be in person, which is crazy. We were just talking about things and driving around the city, and it's just like, whew, it's really about to happen. 2 months. So
It is.
yeah,
It's coming close.
It's coming close. So don't want to take too much, Sean. If you want to just introduce yourself to the people. There's a couple podcasts up here in the cloud where you've done it before, but just want to, for those who may be new to the channel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for having me again, inviting me into your space. I am Terrolyn Nunn. I am Realtor in Houston, Texas, but service clients all throughout the United States, but also co-founder of Access Granted, which is our business, my husband and I, and we...
Shout out to Miss Huey.
Mr. Huey. We help to educate athletes, and we work with athletes, coaches on investment processes, but it has evolved over the last 3 years, being a part of this community. And so we have now been blessed to partner with several universities where we go in and we do sessions. We've done mock interviews over at Rice, having some relationships with basketball players there. We've also done some job shadowing and sessions over at University of Houston.
There you go, COOGS,
Athletics.
alma mater, let's go.
We are connected with Clemson. And we have a couple others that are in the works, but we do a lot of work with also some high schools. And we are recently partnered with Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent's Foundation, G Unity Foundation. And so...
It's your birthday?
Yes. Every day is my birthday. And we do some coaching in the high schools with them as well. So it has been an incredible journey. I never imagined being in this space. And when I first met you virtually, it was, we had the same goals, we had the same vision, we understood, or I thought I understood, but I've learned so much more over the years of how to show up in the spaces for athletes, for staff, for player development staff, and how we can better serve them and add value for them as well.
Yeah, when we met a couple years back, I remember looking at the sponsorship and I was trying to piece everything together. I went to your LinkedIn and I was like, okay, let me wait. And then you jumped on and I was like, all right, this is what it is. You're like, okay. I was like, okay, this is what a sponsorship looks like. You were like, okay. And you told me, I was like, you know what? Let's go. So I appreciate you because this is something that I was doing for the first time, and to see people on the outside understand, like you said it, not only athletes, but the staff, which I think is so important because, the athletes are there, and where the reality of college sports specifically right now is very transient, which is fine. And
it is.
But that staff member is there, and I love the support that you all have for staff because that staff member is seeing that athlete come in and go out, and sometimes that could be tough. And you all have provided value for staff members, for other people, and people like myself who will jump back in it.
Coming soon.
We gonna see. But just thankful for that because it's not only the services you provide, but every now and then it's good to just have somebody you could talk to, right? That just some people in the space, but it's always good to because I've talked to some people in the space and it got back to the people I didn't want to get to. So it's like, all right, I need to get some people that's outside the space that understand and can just encourage because sometimes outside you see that. So definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, it's for us, for me, it's important to be that pillar of support. Not necessarily that we completely understand the full realm and scope of what goes on inside the building, but I do know and understand that you can't pour from an empty cup.
No, not at all.
So we started our newsletter
Yeah.
back at the end of last year, and it is specifically for my player development people.
Hey, link in the
so
show notes.
Link in the show notes so you can get on that mailing list.
Yeah.
And it's just encouragement, empowerment, because sometimes, I do understand that in player development, sometimes you're the one doing the hearing, but nobody's there to hear you, right? And so it's very important to be connected in this space and understanding more and more as the weeks and the months and the years go by of how can we better serve.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so you have, as documented earlier by me, and for everyone, and if you went, if you've been to the summit, not conference, now the summit, please put a TN in the chat. Okay, if you know who Ms. Terrolyn Nunn is, put a TN in the chat. We need to see this on the video. So I want to talk, you've seen the growth of it. So a lot of people, there's a few people who've been there from the beginning to now, which is fine, that's how anything works. And to see it go 2 years virtually to in person, I want to first talk, before we talk about the advantages you've had as a sponsor, I want to talk about how you have seen the growth, what you have seen. I want to know, because maybe I see it from how have you seen it grow, and what excites you about this May?
So the very first year, of course, it was the first time for all of us.
Yes.
And so that was my first time doing a sponsorship as such. And I really didn't know what to expect. But I could also see all of the pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, we got to do that. Oh, we got to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to do that. And then when we broke out for the breakout rooms, it was, oops, sorry, I put you in the wrong room, kind of, just the technical things, which it was fun. But that's a part of the growing pains, that was to be expected. And then fast forward to last year, it was so much more streamlined.
Yeah.
We were able to have calls with speakers beforehand to talk about the flow of how things were going to go. This is what this is going to look like. This is what you can expect. On the back end, speakers were on deck waiting in rooms to be up next, where it was, oh gosh, I can't find them the first year, right? So, but again, to be expected, but to see that growth, and then now to pivot into, we had the whole virtual thing on lock. We knew how to operate that. And now let's try something different. Yeah. And now we're in person. And so will there be some hiccups?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because this is pretty much like our first time doing this again, right? But the team is in place. Everybody is all hands on deck. Yes. Let's figure this out together. And that's what I like about the partnership and the friendship that we've grown over the years, because whatever there is that's needed for me to help, I'm willing to jump in and do that.
Absolutely. And I know I specifically appreciate it. I know our staff appreciates it. Shout out to Lauren King going on year 3.
Yes. Yay, Lauren.
But just the outside help of you saying like, hey, this is, or like, I remember one time I was kind of freaking out and you were like, hey, it's okay. It's okay. Everybody's here. It's a laughs. Nobody said anything. You were like, did anybody say anything in the chat? Did you get a text message? I was like, nah. Like, well, you're okay then. And so I was like, I appreciate that. Now, on the other side, it's been cool for me to see you as a sponsor get the access, no pun intended. So I want you to talk about, I know you're access granted.
Access granted.
I kid, y'all. I got to get that one in. But it's been cool for me to see you do things with the NBA. You talked about Curtis Jackson. I know I've seen you with the G League. I saw you do different things. I want you to speak about how this sponsorship has helped you. You mentioned earlier, you said you've learned so much about this space. And I think there's a lot of people that, I don't know how to say this, but there's a lot of people who desire to help people and athletes in this space, but there's a huge learning curve because there's a lot of gatekeeping. There's a lot of you got to build relationships, different things like that. But if you could talk about just how this has provided access to access granted.
Yes. So the gatekeeping part is real. It's very real. And yes, there are a lot of people that say, oh, I want to live that life. Oh, I want to help athletes. I want to do this. But then the more conversation you have with them, that intent is not very genuine. And so it has been a transition, and yes, I genuinely wanted to help, and that help came from two different places. So, and I think we talked about this the first year we did the podcast, that, you know, I'd been a single mom for 15 years prior to getting married 5 years ago, and we just celebrated our 5th anniversary last weekend. Hey. And his father, his biological father, was never present. And so I understood as a single mom what that's like to have, especially a man child, that's growing up and that's going to eventually be out in the world. And how would I want people to treat him or help him along without any ulterior motives, or, you know, just genuinely caring. And then my godson ended up getting a full scholarship to Notre Dame for football. And I had gotten into real estate, but then I was a part of, you know, some conversations, and I was just like, I don't know if I kind of like how that conversation is going.
Right.
And so, you know, that kind of propelled me into, let me see how different this is. And it's very, very different. You know, it is very intense on relationship building.
Absolutely.
You can't just walk into space and say, hey, I'm here to help, and then everybody just says, oh, here, yes, help me do this. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And, you know, a lot of people see now, and even last year in the business and the people that we've been able to interact with, but they didn't see the 2.5 to 3 years before that, where it was continuous grinding or being purposeful with being in spaces, creating those relationships, letting people know who you were and not what you do.
Right.
And so there came a point where there were several now clients and friends that we consider family. We saw them maybe a course of 4 or 5 times in just general spaces at events. And we had conversation. They knew our names. I knew their names. I know who they were. I knew everything about them.
Right.
But I never brought up, oh, well, I'm Terrolyn and this is what I do.
Right.
Because that's a complete turnoff to a lot of your high net worth, ultra high net worth clientele. And so the relationship piece has been very, very important. And showing up when people need you to show up. You know, having that opportunity at the first conference was amazing, and being able to connect with the individuals after that. Now, there were some that I still to this day haven't been able to connect with. Does that mean it'll never happen? I don't believe that. I just believe that maybe just wasn't the right timing.
Right.
And then there was some that it was very hard to even initiate a conversation. And now, if I walk in the room, it's like, Terrolyn, you know. So, but it was that intentionality on being purposeful, building relationship. I want to know who you are and how can I add value for you. And even though I'm in real estate, it's not always about real estate. Now, at some point that happens.
Absolutely.
And has happened, you know, oh, she's in Houston. You're moving to Houston. I've got to connect you. Hey, Terrolyn, my friend is one of my favorite people in the world is moving to Houston. Can you help him find a place there? That was a year and a half later. And so that's not the reason that we initiate the relationships, but once you develop that trust level, people are more prone to trusting you with other things.
Absolutely. I love what you say, because a lot of these people are former athletes in this space. And it's just like, I remember I commented on something, somebody would say, hey, a new coach comes in, new players got to do it immediately. I said, no, them players they have to, you just got to show up. They're going to be there. They're going to show up. But the success I've seen when we've taken over, I've had the pleasure of being with 3 programs, and 2, we're kind of taking over, like, hey, we're doing some new stuff. It was showing up daily, being the same person. And then, like you said, you walk into breakfast and it's just like, oh, Ed Charles, look, that's my guy. And I'm like, okay, sweet. Like, here we go, So I appreciate that. If you could talk about some of the educational aspects you all had, because I know you were in, is Orlando for, was it G League? Yes.
So we did go to Orlando for G League Winter Showcase. We didn't do any programming there. That was one of those instances where our partners at the NBA invited us, and we showed up.
Yes. That's something big to that. Showing up when you get an invitation.
You show up when you get an invitation. And then, we turned around and checked email, and we got invitation to All-Star Weekend. Yes, we're showing up for that, people want to see that you're interested even when the spotlight is not on you. And when we're in the spaces, it's always, do you need anything? How can we help you? Okay, you look a little bit frantic. What can I do to help you in this moment? Do you need something to eat? Have you eaten today? Right. Making sure that they're okay. And you can pretend to be that way, but you can't pretend that for a very long time. You genuinely have to care about people for that to show up all the time.
Absolutely.
And so we're grateful for those opportunities, but we did get the opportunity to teach in Vegas last summer for Summer League.
There it is.
And it was absolutely fantastic. We were paired with a G League athlete, and initially it was, real estate and business, but as we went through the weeks of mentorship with him, it wasn't real estate at all. He was more interested in mental health, and we learned his story of growing up and why that was so important to him. And so the first couple of calls that we had with him on Zoom, you can see he was just like, yes, ma'am. All right. But then once we finally peeled back those layers and uncovered what his passion and purpose really was, he was jumping on the calls and he was smiling from ear to ear the entire time. So, that's one of the things that's important for us. We know, yes, baseball and basketball, their stint in the league is a little bit longer than football, or sometimes a lot longer than football. Shout out to my guy LeBron James with his 50,000 career points, never done before in the history.
Somebody was joking, he can play with his grandkids.
Right. But we want to help, especially athletes, to find out what that thing is that drives them. And let's talk about that. Let's set that up now, where we're getting all of the pieces of the puzzle together. So, God forbid, it's a career-ending injury.
Right.
Or let's just say your time has come to an end without an injury, right? That's all they've known all of their lives. They've worked so hard for this moment, and now it's that knee-jerk reaction. They lose self-identity. Oh my God, what's next? Where do I go from here? But if we're able to catch them on that front end, even from high school and into college and early on when they make it into the league, let's figure that out. Let's get this all built correctly. And then that way, when you're not in the league anymore, yes, you're going to need some decompression time to kind of pivot and make that. But now it's, okay, well, I have this ready. So now I'm just not going to go here every day. Now I'm going to go this direction, and it's mine, right?
See, I love that because, you know, the emphasis for me, now that I'm been a little bit out the space, still helping people, is emphasis on let's build while you're still in it.
That's
like,
right.
I think, you know, when I first got in it, you hear people like, what happens after the game? It's like, no, my dad used to say, your brain's churning right now, so let's get it going. Like, you can remember a playbook and all these things, you can know something there.
Yep.
And so I like that because the emphasis is let's do it while you're here. Working with that G League player who still has dreams of making it to the NBA and having a longer career, as you mentioned, working that. But it's pretty interesting because I was listening to Rich Eisen yesterday, and Steve Young was talking about, you know, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He talked about what Roger Staubach told him, who's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He said Roger Staubach told him, when you retire, run away. Get as far away from it, but just run the opposite way. But then where do you run? Giving them something to run. Because like you said, no athlete's going to walk off the field and just, I'm ready to go. It's all, like, I still have dreams of my days when I could actually run. But I still have dreams about that. And so it's like giving them those tools to when they do turn to the next chapter. It's a familiar chapter.
That's right.
It's just like, okay, it's familiar. I still got to get used to it, but there's words here that I know.
That's right.
So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for all you do. I don't know if I ever said that.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely. You know, we're here to serve.
Yeah.
We're here to help. And every person and organization that we partner and work with looks completely different.
Yeah.
There is no one way to do this. There is no, this is our package and this is what we offer and that's it. You know, it's a wide variety. You know, we talk about mastering your mindset because if you're not the master of your mind, who is?
Right.
You know, and then once you understand who you are, why you are, what brought you to this point, we're able to understand, okay, so how do we execute and look at the trajectory of the rest of our path and understand how to maneuver to do the right things. I mean, we do sessions on the 4 disciplines of execution. You can have a strategy mapped out for 10 years, but if you don't execute on that strategy, what good is it, right?
That's what I'm learning planning this in person.
But we are here to hold your arms
Shout
up.
out to the team.
You know, so we do that. We also offer concierge services. So a lot of times that's partnered with the real estate side, but then there's also clients that I haven't done real estate with them at all, but they need that day-to-day assistance in life. And so we offer those services. You know, have some clients that have properties in Texas, but they play for a team, I don't know, let's call it Seattle, right? And something may need to be done at their house while they're away for the season. We make sure those things are taken care of. If they get traded from one team to another, we're there to help. Okay, let's get the movers. We need to make sure all of the packing is done. We need to make sure utilities are off. I'm helping them in their next place get set up, making sure all of that gets transitioned over, and just anticipatory services that gives them that VIP red carpet experience that they deserve, because I don't want them to have to focus on anything other than work for them. Let me handle the details of every day, and you go and do that, have a good time, and then they trust you with all of their stuff.
So it's pretty interesting. You mentioned I like listening to podcasts. I was listening to Richard Seymour. He was on the Pivot, and they were talking about when he got traded from the Patriots. Hall of Fame player. It was Patriots Hall of Fame, was there for a while. And he had to report to Oakland, and the deal was he was losing money, or he didn't want to come to Oakland. He was like, I have four daughters. I had to get them out. We had to transition out of school, find out what school was there. We had to explain to them what being traded is. And, you know, going from New England to Oakland, that's
crazy.
Coast to coast.
That's crazy different.
Time zones and just getting all this stuff. So it's like, you never think about it. I was younger at that time. I think it might have been in college, and you're like, "Oh wow, he don't want to go." It's like, no, it's not that he don't want to go. It's what you mentioned.
It's too many pieces.
He's trying to put everything together so he can go and just play. And so shout out to you for those services. Now, first time in Kansas City, You got here yesterday, right before
In the blizzard.
Yeah, like, we supposed to go to dinner yesterday, and you're like,
That didn't happen.
like, I don't think we're going to dinner. I was like, nah, it's a blizzard
It's a
coming.
blizzard coming. Yeah, we're
It wasn't as bad as the one earlier in the year, but if you're coming from Houston, Texas, to a blizzard, it is.
well. Considering we just had crazy weather
That's
and
right.
snow a few weeks ago.
That's true in Houston. Yeah.
But I actually got to see snow twice in 1 year, which is crazy. But the wind was terrible last night.
It was beating against the
It
window.
it was. I mean, I don't think I went to sleep until about 3 o'clock this morning because it was just, and you could hear the trucks outside.
Yep.
I guess they were scraping
They
the
are.
roads. I never
It
got
gets
up
loud.
to see it, but it, all the way through. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But yeah.
Well, the good thing about that is we won't have to worry about that in May for the
Absolutely.
summer. So that is-
Absolutely.
But I want to ask you a few things that you've seen, and we got a couple more places to go.
Okay.
What did you think about the airport?
Man, that airport is hands down top tier.
Yeah.
When I walked out, I looked around and I said, doesn't look like we're in Kansas. I mean, I looked out of the window as we were landing, and I mean, I saw Dorothy and Annie M,
it's just fields.
kind of out
Oh,
there,
yeah.
and I said, "Oh man, Huey, we're in Kansas now." But when we got in the airport, it is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it is light years. The old airport matched what you saw coming in.
Wow.
You'd have got out, tumbleweeds would like kind of go through, and then they
Wow.
would they had this pulley system. I'm just playing. You all can't see this. I
Wow.
don't want y'all to get out of here. Yeah. All right. So another place you've been able to spend some time is the Plaza. How's that been?
Yes.
Kind of seeing that.
So the plaza is fantastic. What we noticed driving in was that all of the buildings look so old.
Yes.
And so I was concerned when we pulled up to the hotel, and I looked and I'm like, I don't know if I want to stay here. And Huey said, man, I don't know. He said, well, let's see what the room looks like. And then, because if we need to go somewhere else, and I'm looking around, I'm like, well, that's that hotel.
Yeah.
It looks the same on the outside as this one. So, but when we got inside and we got in our room, it was absolutely fantastic. So shout out to the Raphael Hotel.
Yeah.
It is really, really nice and cozy inside. Yeah.
That's something I've learned here. So, in being from Houston, if it's old, it's gone. The only thing that's still, we talked about this one right here, is the Astrodome, which should have been gone a long time ago. I played in Astrodome.
I actually think if the Astrodome wasn't right next to NRG, but this probably could work too.
Mm-hmm.
If they rehabbed the Astrodome and turned it into like a workspace / living space to house the homeless, but have work for them to do in there for different projects around the city, but also they could work the grounds. They could work throughout the city, and that would be their pay for living there. That would solve a huge homeless problem.
Absolutely. It's enough space.
It's enough space.
Being there, I know playing in it as a kid and going to games as a kid, it's enough space. And it's just there. There's so much history. I mean, I love what you said, co-working space. I thought they were going to do recreational space. We've seen because of course they took down Astroworld on the other side. They were talking about possibly putting a theme park in there, but it's just those in Harris County. I didn't live in Harris County, but those who live in Harris County still paying for it.
Yep.
So we passed by. We're actually going to go check out Power and Light, which I'm really excited.
Yes, I'm excited about that too.
That as well. But it's one thing I've kind of showed you, the different places. It's a city that's a city, but it's connected by different areas. So I'm excited for you all to check it out.
Yes.
What is one thing that you are excited, because I know you can't check it all out in a couple days, but what's one thing you are excited that you may have, maybe at a place to eat or something that you're going to see while you are still here in Kansas City?
I am excited to go to Power and Light. because I want to see the location where we're going to have our VIP event for the summit.
Yes, we're about to go see it. That's awesome. I'm excited for that. So now, once again, I want to thank you for all the support you brought, not only to the summit, but to myself. And this is just like a kid having a dream and you coming on and helping. Can't thank you enough. But now we're about to do rapid fire. So, this is tough. Because, and how's Chase doing?
Who?
Oh, okay. Well, I'll do it. It's his name not Chase.
Who is Chase? I don't know who Chase is.
His name's not Chase.
His name is Seth.
Seth. I was literally in my head. I was like, it's not Chase. I was like, no, it's Chase. How's Seth doing?
Seth is great. Seth is great. Seth is finishing his last semester as a junior in civil engineering at Texas A&M.
Oh, has he done the ring ceremony yet, or is it coming?
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's coming. It's coming.
I know that's a big thing there.
It's a big thing. It's coming. He crossed Kappa in November. So he and his dad have this, this little bond thing that's going on. I feel left out sometimes, but I'm like, I want to be a Kappa too. I can shimmy my shoulders, but they're like, Ma, just don't do it. But he's doing great. He's doing great. Looking forward to what life has to offer. He's actually been able to be a part of some of these experiences.
Nice.
And he heard us talking about it before, but it was kind of like this far-fetched thing, Right. I talk about, Will Anderson or Kamari Lassiter or Nico Collins, and he's like, oh yeah, okay. But then when he's now sitting at the table with them or, having conversations, and they're like, bro, you a cool dude. Let's exchange information. He's like, me?
Yeah. What?
Yeah. And so he was able to be there last year when we taught at Summer League, and he was just completely blown away. And then he was with us for All-Star Weekend again, and I keep replaying in my brain. He says, Ma, you are the most turnt mom ever. And I'm like, turnt mom? What is that? Like, okay, so now I'm telling how old I am?
Yeah.
He says, whose mom gets invited to All-Star?
That's fair.
Like, whose parents are in the room with Adam Silver that's just like standing right there, and Yao Ming walks in, and he's just,
Yao Ming is ginormous.
Dude, he was so tall.
He's one of the biggest human beings ever.
Oh my gosh, he was so, I mean, like you can see that on TV, but in person,
It's like,
it was just like,
that is a large human being.
That's a large human. But, being able to share some of these experiences with him has really brought me the most joy. Yeah. Because I'm not gonna get emotional.
I felt it, so I'm gonna change it because I can't let you get emotional.
Yeah.
All right, so you just spoke about Seth saying that you're a turnt mom, but you actually got another honor I saw on LinkedIn on my timeline. Could you talk about that?
No.
Okay, so that's gonna be another emotional.
Yeah, I can talk about that.
We get it. Okay.
I can talk about that. There are over 50,000 licensed real estate agents in the Houston and surrounding areas. That's attached to the Houston Association of Realtors, MLS, which is multiple listing service. So if you can imagine what 50,000 people looks like, that's the number of people that are in the business. Now, they hold licenses for different reasons. Some people only hold it and they do it for family, or they do it for themselves, or they are an investor and they transact their own transactions. But there's a ton of people that actually do it for the work of it. Of those people, there's a large percent that don't do any transactions in a year because it's hard.
Right.
It's almost like you wake up every day unemployed.
Man.
And you have to have a roadmap on what the goal is and how you're going to achieve that goal. So you start with this big goal. So this is my annual goal. So to get that annual goal, what do I need to do every month? To reach the monthly goal, what do I need to do every week? And to reach the weekly goal, what do I need to do every day?
Yeah.
And so to reach the daily goal, what does every hour of my day need to look like?
Yeah.
And so it's backing up the plan to build the steps to get to what that annual goal is. My annual goal has changed. It looks very different than I ever thought it would look. One of my biggest goals now, yes, of course, you've got to do the work, you've got to do the real estate, you've got to do all of these things to generate income, because we can't live without it. That's just the reality of it.
Right.
However, how it has changed for me, my husband and I, we are very intentional about the relationship side. And then philanthropy has become a huge arm of the business. So over the last 2 years, we have put back, not in time, just in the fruit of our labor, over $70,000 back into the community, and helping people when they need certain things. We support the Houston Texans Foundation, which is kids with sports. We're about to start working with Jalen Pitre. He does kids.
That's my guy.
That's right.
We were at Baylor together. Shout out to my guy Pitre, Stafford, Texas. The mayor of Stafford, Texas.
That's right. That's right.
That's my guy.
Kamari Lassiter and Will Anderson are working on developing their foundation. We're available to assist, how they need that. And there's a few other, they're so loved in Houston that
I'm familiar.
they get shoes for kids in, the lower impoverished areas that otherwise wouldn't have decent shoes. So the philanthropy piece of it has become a very critical component of the business of our family. And last year we were definitely most driven relationship-wise, not even realizing that all of the other stuff was happening. Because one thing I do know, that God says when you put Him first and you are genuinely looking out for others, that in most cases can't ever do anything for you in return. He's going to make sure that you have everything you need and then some. And so to get the announcement that I was ranked in the top 3.5% out of 50,000 agents in Houston was huge. And so my office, we were actually leaving Thursday, or I can't remember when. We've been on so many flights the last week, that there was a sign in my yard that my office put, and it had top 5%. And so, when I asked questions, they were like, well, you actually were at 3.5%, but the signs only say 1%, 5%, 10%. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I get that. I take that. I take
Right.
that. But it is just such an honor to be a leader in the space in such short time.
Yeah.
It'll be 5 years in September that I've been in real estate, and it feels like it's been much longer than that because the learning curve, again,
Right.
you know, it was intense. I started right at the beginning of COVID, but nurturing and growing in the craft has been very important to be able to service the clients that trust me with one of their largest investments of life.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, congratulations.
thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
H-Town. Jalen Pitre, my guy.
Jalen Pitre.
Such a
His
awesome.
parents are amazing too.
Such an awesome person. But
Yeah.
you want to talk about turns the switch on the field?
Oh man, he like turbojets.
I mean, it is like you gotta talk. There's so many people like we had freshmen that could not understand what was going on because he would like talk to them at breakfast and all that in the locker room. He go, hey, let's get set. But like I remember one freshman we had a drill and the guy wasn't blocking. He went to get Petey and Petey ran right through him. He's like, you need to block. And he would get like, I mean, he was just so intense. Like it was just, I loved it. I fed off of it. But it was, hey, we won a Big 12 championship. I should have wore my ring. I was actually watching the game last couple of days, just reminiscing on. So yeah.
We should have been at that UH game at 1:30 today.
I didn't even. What was crazy about that is I was like, I was randomly thinking like, you know, the Big 12 championship is here, but
And then the guys are here next week.
So I do not. This is gonna sound messed up. I've been to 4 U of H games here in Kansas City. They've lost every single one of them. So I cannot attend the guys'
Yeah, don't
games.
go.
I could go
because they've had an amazing season.
And I feel so bad. So there was, after last year, it was the Big 12 championship when they were playing Iowa State. And shout out to Iowa State fans. They were nice, but I was just like, I can't come to another one.
Yeah, no, we don't want you there.
Yeah,
we don't want you there.
We definitely want to support the women's team, but I can't go to another guy's game.
Yeah, no, we don't want you at the guys' games. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited. They had senior night the other night.
Yeah.
Jawan Roberts is
how about that?
absolutely fantastic.
He was getting recruited while I was still working at U of H. And I
Wow.
remember what they said about him. They said, they recruited him. They said, this kid is underrated. He's going to be they thought he was going to be a really good player. I don't know if they thought this would happen.
Great. Yeah.
They knew he worked hard. He had to learn basketball, but they felt like they got a gem. And the return on investment has been incredible.
Is huge.
When you see the tears from Coach Sam, I remember like literally him, because what we did with basketball and recruiting is they had a beautiful facility, and we worked now. The U of H getting an operations building now, but we weren't there, and so we had the indoor, and so we kind of worked hey, you know, if y'all want to come to the indoor, and so he came to indoor, he checked out some stuff. We let him in the stadium. They didn't want to take pictures in the stadium, which is fine. And so I remember meeting him and just like he was so thin. Now Alan Bishop, shout out to Alan Bishop, strength coach. Jawan out there hooping. So
Yeah.
it's good. But like I said, I can't. If they play here, I can't.
Yeah, they'll
Well,
be
play
here.
Yeah,
They'll be here next week.
I may need to catch them at another venue, but I can't do it here. I can't.
Now I'm thinking I might need to be back in Kansas City next week.
And next week's way better. The weather's gonna be way better.
You think?
Way better. It's a good atmosphere. It's the Big 12 because we're gonna go to Power Light. Yeah. Matter of fact, we're gonna end these rapid fire. We're gonna go over there and check it out.
Okay.
All right. So rapid fire. So there's a couple. I think because you're from New Orleans. Metairie.
Homa.
Oh, I know where home is at. Okay, well, let's do this. We'll go Houston then.
Okay.
I'll ask you a couple of your favorite spots in Houston. I'll ask you what's your they're rapid fire. You're not supposed to know. All right, here we go. Rapid fire. The Terrolyn Nunn edition. All right, what you reading right now?
What's my what?
What are you reading right now?
What am I reading? So I have to read a whole bunch of things every day. But I think my favorite right now is The 7 Habits of a Highly Effective Leader.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I've heard that multiple times in my life.
Yep.
That's another. I need to get that one.
Yep, I like that one.
What daily habit are you working on? Like something new that you're like, hey, I got to conquer this?
Well, I try the workout thing. Doesn't last very long. But if I could conquer, I think it's just getting there.
Yeah.
Because once I'm there,
I'm in.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in for at least 30-minute cardio,
Yeah.
at least. But I can go the hour, and I'll be fine. But it's the mindset of getting there,
Yeah.
like getting dressed and getting there.
Yeah.
And then I say, well, if I had maybe an elliptical or something at home, but then it's going to turn into, I just don't do it.
As a person who has an elliptical who needs to do it more, it's all about location. Mine is in the back room. I need to move it to the front room.
Okay.
Because I like watch documentaries. Documentaries, 45 minutes. I get like 7,000 steps. So
Okay.
if you place it, that's something I had to learn too. Atomic Habits is a book. And the
Okay.
author, I can't think of his name. I can see his face. But he would say, like, for working out, he was like, he'd lay his clothes out. Because I'm the same way. If I'm in the gym, it's going down. Like,
Yep.
I'm in there. And so, like, for me, it's showing up. I just show up. Sometimes I'll literally, like, be at the library, and my gym's right behind my library. And if I have workoutable clothes, I'll just go in there and work out. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next one. If you're in Houston and you get a gift card to go eat lunch somewhere in Houston, where are you going?
Lunch?
Lunch.
I'm going to Taste.
So, okay, I'm gonna let you say why, because I've heard this. Taste wasn't there when I was there.
Oh, well, you need to get to Houston, sir.
So yeah, I had another conversation, a random conversation, with somebody in downtown Kansas City. She was doing some work. She's from Houston. I said, what's the best spot? She's like, oh, this place called Taste. I said, yeah. So I gotta go. Seasonal, right?
No, it's open. It's open year round. Now, I like Taste. They have the best cornbread.
Ooh.
But they also have really good mac and cheese.
Ooh.
And their stewed chicken,
Oh my
they
God.
fry the chicken first.
And then they stew it.
And then they put the gravy on the top.
Oh my goodness.
Did you hear what I said?
Why?
Why is the cook? So it has that home cooked gravy, but it's crunchy too at the same. Man, now. But then I've got to say, there's a place in Katy called Aunt Bill's Soul Food.
Oh.
Now Aunt Bill's has hands down the best collard greens and yams. So if I had the collard greens and the yams from Aunt Bill's, oh, and maybe a fried catfish fillet from Aunt Bill's, and then pair that with the cornbread, the mac and cheese, and the stewed chicken at Taste.
That sounds like a night meal. Let me go to sleep.
Man, let me tell you.
Okay, so you talking about coming
I
back
just
to
gained
Kansas.
5 pounds talking about that.
I gained 12. You talking about coming to Kansas City next week? I might go to Houston next week. Okay, that's...
Man.
Shout out to Kansas City. I love y'all, but I'm not finding that nowhere here.
Yeah.
It ain't happening. It ain't happening. All right, dinner. That was lunch. I'm excited to hear dinner because you done gave me 2 restaurants on lunch.
Okay. So dinner depends on what you like. All right. I can eat a steak every day of the week. It's awful for me. My doctor said I should probably try to only have maybe 2 a month, but worst case, once a week.
Yeah.
I've already had steak twice this week.
I like steak.
Yep. I had it last night and I had it this morning for breakfast.
I like steak. I think that's solid. Yeah, solid choice.
So if I'm going steak, it is definitely Eddie V's in City Center.
Oh, City Center? Oh, they got Eddie V's in City Center?
They have an Eddie V's in City Center. And there's one in the River Oaks area, but not that one.
Yeah, I know
Not
what
that
you're
one.
talking about. Right when you pass the tracks, it's right there. I know what you're talking about.
not
Across from
that
the
one.
Apple store.
Yep, not that one.
Yeah.
in City Center. It's upstairs. And their filet, Pittsburgh style, medium. They put the right amount of seasoning every time. It is the most consistent steak I've had in my life.
Man. 80 V's.
Now, they also have potatoes au gratin, which are really good.
Yes.
And they have the bananas Foster dessert.
That's the one they put the fire on?
Yes, but you know, if you tell them it's your birthday, you get a little one for free.
Hey, you said earlier it's your birthday every day.
It's my birthday every day. But then there's also this other place that I really like, and it's out in Katy too, and it's called Pearl and Vine.
Never heard of it.
And I love their appetizer. It's a baked goat cheese.
That's tough.
Man, oh man, oh man.
Yeah, I'm going to Houston. I'm going back.
They have the best baked goat cheese. They also have brisket sliders that are fantastic.
I missed that thing.
And then they have this dessert. It's an apple crunch ball. And so it's like, I don't know, it's about this big. And it's crunchy, and it's got like apple cinnamon cake in the inside.
Oh my God.
With ice cream.
Yeah. All right, well, City of Houston, you'll see me here soon.
Can you tell that I'm a foodie? Like, I love the food. And that's probably too because I don't drink alcohol.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you where the best drinks are in Houston
I'm not a
because
big.
I don't know.
Well, here in Kansas City, for you all coming, if you like happy hour, Summit Grill's got a solid one. It's a little further down off 75th and Warnell. That's pretty solid. Best I've had. But like, that's the biggest thing I miss from Houston is the food. It's good food here, but you all who have not been to Houston,
come visit me.
Come
visit me. We can make a weekend of it. I can show everybody around. We can potentially go look at some real estate.
You know,
I can show you what $300,000 to $500,000 can get you in Houston.
It can get you a lot.
It can get you a whole lot.
It can get you a lot. I know that.
It can get you a whole lot.
A good school district.
Yep.
A lot. So it's funny when my wife moved to Houston, like you said, make a weekend out of it. She was like, "What do y'all do?" I was like, we eat and then figure out what we're gonna do. Like, and so to this day, I'm working on it, babe. I'm still working on dates, not centered around eating at a restaurant. But I was in Houston for 30 years. Everything was centered around like
it's food.
Because you know, if the food's bad, everything's bad. So yeah.
And if you like sushi, there's Uchi.
Uchi,
and then
it took over Raw. Ryan.
So Raw is good.
Okay, it's still okay.
That is pricing wise more economical. It makes more sense.
Right.
And then Uchi just takes it up a few levels.
Okay.
But it also takes the budget up a few levels.
I'm coming back to Houston, Mama. I'm gonna visit you too while I'm in Houston, Mama. But I'm definitely gonna take these places. All right, if you could co-star in a movie, an action movie, who would you co-star with?
Man, so everybody.
It's a lot.
I would co-star with, okay, it's a couple of people. So one would be George Clooney.
That's a good one. That's solid.
I really, really like him.
Range right there.
I like him.
A lot of range.
I also like Kerry Washington.
That's a thriller right there.
Now, I can't remember the most recent movie, but it's a military movie.
It's on Netflix. It's
yes.
I'm gonna butcher it. 630-836, but Tyler Perry movie with the World War II.
Yes, and they had to go in and clean up the mail situation.
I'm gonna pull it up.
She was good in that movie.
I need to watch that one.
Yep.
I'm not gonna pull it up because y'all know the movie.
Yeah.
All right, last question before we end. If you could join a music group, past or present, which group would it be?
And it doesn't, could it be like an all
Whatever.
boy group or it has to
Absolutely.
be girl? And so a group, it can't just be
just-
one person.
If you want to do you can take one person and y'all become an act. Is that what it's? Two people? Is it like a? So you can take a person that's like and say, hey, we are this now a group or an act.
Okay, it would be two.
Okay.
And I got an old soul when it comes to music now.
Same.
So my first one would be Earth, Wind, and Fire.
That's always my selection.
And then I would probably say The Temptations.
That's a good one. I like that one. One of my favorite Temptation songs is one that actually didn't blow up. It's when Paul Williams sing. It's on a Walmart commercial for Christmas. I want a love I can't see. Ooh. Didn't blow up, but it's a hit. But it apparently wasn't a hit to Barry Gordy.
Well, I need to go listen to that.
It's a killer. I love it. That's when you know you're talented. Like when the song that didn't make it made it in the movie, 30 seconds in the movie, and Walmart thought it was good enough to do
To
it.
put it on a commercial. And if Walmart can put it on a commercial,
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you know.
You done it. But
Yeah.
that is it. Thank you so much for being here in
Absolutely.
Kansas City. We got to run
Absolutely.
y'all to go check out Power and Light, but thank you so much.
Make sure
Yes.
you get your tickets, get
In the
them
show notes.
early.
Yes.
We want to make sure we're prepared for you guys.
Absolutely. It's
And
gonna
have
be a lot
some
of fun.
amazing experiences.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. It is going to be fun. So this is
May-
somebody calling right now to get their ticket. Hey, hold on. I'm almost done with the podcast. Make sure you get your ticket.
Get your
It's in
ticket.
the show notes. Thank
Beyond
you so
the
much.
Beyond the Field
Yes.
Player Development Summit
Come on.
2025,
2025.
May
29th
29th
to the 31st.
through the 31st,
We'll give you June, but you got to be there for May.
Kansas City.
Kansas City, yes.
Let's
Look at that.
go.
Ride KC bus driving by. We'll see y'all. Y'all have a good one.
Have a good one.
We did it. Yes.